barley.
Oh,
And everyone just takes that for, oh yeah, this one. Barley doesn't cause worms. There were worms in the barley.
oh,
That is why the people had it. So I sent you a clip from a Heckscher company, one of the how they had found barley and other Heckscher companies had said yes, that they also found worms in that, and therefore
wow.
check the barley.
Okay, we're gonna start. Very interesting. We're gonna start.
Right?
Pilpuli.
Yeah.
This is on Lamed Vav 36b. Pilpuli, which is black pepper, peppercorns. Rav Sheshes Summer Shahako.
I agree.
Sheshes said, do you agree that peppercorns are shahako, or you agree for the
I don't
Bible?
know what are you saying.
Rav Sheshes says that you say shahako, and Rava Amar like them. Rava says you don't say anything. No brachos. What's the Rava Latameh? And Rava follows his reasoning. Why? He's Amar Rava. Rava says, Kas pilpuli b'yem kippuri. Someone that chews pepper on Yom Kippur, kas means to chew, but Rashi explains that any abnormal eating is called kas, chewing. So he's pater. That means on Yom Kippur, wow, beautiful. Happy Tu B'Shvat. That's excellent. I'm going to have to control myself the whole. So he's pater because it's not considered food. And Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to eat. But what did he eat? He ate a piece of wood. Right? It's not food. Kas angvila b'yem kippur. Let's say he chews his angvila, his ginger, ingwer, right? And he ate ginger on Yom Kippur. He's pater. Okay, so therefore Rava that says you're pater on Yom Kippur also says that you don't say any bracha on it. Meisvei the Gemara is a question. Hey, Rav Meir would say mimash mashinemar. It's understood from the pasuk, from that it says baral tamer lasei espirioi, that you will consider your fruit forbidden. Any idea sheitz meichelo? Do I not know that it's a fruit tree? It says the fruit. Alamata malamer it's meichel. Why does it have to say fruit tree? If we know that we're dealing with fruit, of course it's a fruit tree, a food tree. Meichel. Lahavi eitz tam eitzai superior shava. Coming to include that there's arla by the following tree. A tree that the wood, maybe the bark, or the wood and the fruit taste the same. Ve'ezehu, what is it? Zeh and this is peppers. Peppers, apparently the wood and the peppercorns taste the same. And so that means that there's arla by pepper. Now this is going to be a problem because there's only arla by food. And if pepper's not a food, because if you eat it on Yom Kippur, you're exempt, and you don't say a bracha if you eat it. Why is there arla? And it also so it goes like this. First of all, that peppers are chayiv and arla. Lamdach also teaches you that Eretz Yisrael is not lacking anything. Can you imagine? It even has peppercorns. A land not with miskinus would mean difficulty. I guess you'll eat bread. It's not lacking anything. Okay. Kasha is that is pepper a food or not? Is it chayiv and arla? That would mean it's a food. Or is it exempt on Yom Kippur? It means it's not. Our spices. Maybe that's what we're referring to here.
We want to know the time. Yes, we do. We admire it.
There are those who are still writing.
So you did 26 miles?
No, 13.
The Gemara answers is it depends if it's moist or if it's dry. If it's moist, then it's a food. I don't know the stages. Moshe, you probably know. You used to grow pepper, no? Does it have to dry out or
To make it, it grows so like it, but then after that's when it grows.
So at an early stage, it's edible, and at a later stage, it could be used as a spice, but it's not something that you would eat. Amile Rabbanan leMereimar. The Rabbanan said to Mereimar, "Kasang vila b'yem v'kippur and pater." Someone choose ginger on Yom Kippur is pater. V'amar Rava, but Rava says, "Hi, himlasa or himalta dasi b'ndei hinduya." This himalta, which is a ginger honey paste, mustard. No, that was honey. What was that? That was honey mustard. Okay, this is ginger honey. This mixture. The asami behinduya that comes from either India or Ethiopia. Rashi says Ethiopia. So it sounds like it's India though. Hinduya. No? It could be they had a city over there that was called Hindu. Sharia, you're allowed to eat it. Okay. Now, and you say and what we're seeing over here is that why are you allowed to eat it? It's coming from a non-Jewish area. Could be that it's bishalakum, the exceptions of when bishalakum is allowed is anything that's eaten raw. Anything that could be eaten raw, like carrots or apples or these things, if they're cooked, you can get applesauce. It doesn't need to be bishul yisrael. Why? Because you can eat the apple raw. So anything that could be eaten raw, things that can't be eaten raw. I don't know about fish nowadays, but meat and chicken and all of that is that would have the problem. Or potatoes can't be eaten raw. So that would be bishul. Then the other rules about bishalakum as well. It has to be served or whatever. So, but himalta obviously could be eaten raw. There's no problem of bishalakum. It could be eaten raw. You say about Adam on it. So why do we say if you chew it on Yom Kippur, you're pater? Sounds like it's not a food. Here you're saying it is a food. It could be, and it's even edible raw. See, I could say maybe if you cook it, I can make it edible. If you with enough processing, I can make it edible. No, we're saying you could even eat it raw. So why are you pater on Yom Kippur? Mar says like kasha. There's no question how tif to be a best. It depends if it's moist or if it's dry. It's in early stages of the ginger. Could be it's more moist and it's edible. You can eat it, and then it dries out. Chavetz kedera. This is a type of porridge that is mixed with honey and oil. Rashi has the word in Old French for it. Abrushti. Okay. Daisa. And also, daisa is like grits. Rabbi Yehuda Meshakli Bari. Rabbi Yehuda says, you say shahakal. Oh, surprising. Rav Kana says you say bar minim mezenis. That's we're more familiar with that. The daisa grade the kol yamalei pligi the bar minim mezenis. If it's actual grits, then everyone would agree that it's bar minim mezenis because it's the grain, it's wheat. Ki pligi b'daisa ken chavetz kedera. The whole machlekes is daisa that's similar to chavetz kedera. Chavetz kedera, we said, was the mixture of the flour with this porridge, which is flour and honey and oil. Rabbi Yehuda says that you say shahakal. He says that the honey is the main thing. Rav Kana says that you say bar minim mezenis. He says that the flour is the main thing. Rabbi Yosef says Kavaseder Rav Kana Mistabra makes sense to go like Rav Kana, that the flour is the main ingredient. The Rav Shmuel Damri Tavayo, because Rav and Shmuel both say Kol Sheish Bei Mechamesh Samina Mevarchim Alav Bar Minim Mezenis. There's a statement that they gave that anything that contains the 5 grains is mezenis, whether it's the main ingredient or not. If it contains that ingredient, any of the 5 things.
Cheesecake has a base. There's a stick of mezenis, but it's all cheese.
Okay, so there's a few things that I want to point out. The first thing is the bottom Taisvis. Taisvis says that he has a whole bunch of different things that are made, flour and water or milk, if it's mezenis. He says, that's the big deal. Taisva says in Ladabik Balma, if it's made just to hold it together, not for a flavor. If it's made just to hold it together, then it doesn't get the bar minim mezenis. Then Taisva gives us this, he introduces this problem that we have in Hilchos Brachos, that, but it still is a shaila, and it's better to eat it during a meal.
So what do we make on look?
Hashem is not a halacha. I was told that it's a mezainis.
Yeah,
And I was also told that if it's a mezainis, then it has to be Pasas Shell. I don't know if that makes sense. Taisus before says an interesting thing. What bracha do you make on sugarcane? If you eat the sugarcane, like the Jamaicans, they cut it off and they chew on the thing. It's very good for the teeth. They say the teeth are strong and they eat it as kids. That's their snack, the sugarcane. They cut it,
they sell it on the side of the road sometimes. You see down the truck with sugar.
Yeah, and they cut it up into pieces and you chew it and you spit out the wood. It's very sweet. What bracha is that? So Taisvus brings a pasuk, Kiyari and Dubshi, the forest with the honey. He says that's referring to sugar. So therefore it should be very creates because it's called the forest. The other say though that in Shahakal and Shulchan Aruch says Shah. Okay. Let's go further. We had a statement, Gufa, that a statement. That's what it seems from Shulchan Aruch. I would say Shahakal.
Should be in the grass.
Yeah.
The meat grass. Charcoal. Like that.
Not necessarily.
The king. When he ate grass.
Oh.
Right.
What brachas did he make?
Would he have made?
So Rav Shmuel Darmi Tavaya, Rav and Shmuel both say, Kol sheyesh by mechamesh samina mevarcham v'varim min ha'mesenis. Look at this statement carefully. It says anything that contains sheyesh by, anything that contains the 5 grains is mezainis. B'itmar nami, it was also stated, Rav Shmuel Darmi Tavaya, Kol shehu mechamesh samina mevarcham v'varim min ha'mesenis. Look at that statement carefully. Anything that is the 5 grains is mezainis. So we have 2 statements. Anything that contains, that means an ingredient of the 5 grains, which is wheat, barley, oats, spelt, rye, is mezainis. Another statement is anything that is mezainis. Why do we need the second statement? Very good. With Shricha, it's necessary. Exactly. The Gemara and you think the same. They say Baruch Shekivanti, right? Blessed is Hashem that I know that's the Gemara's question. The Gemara says Shricha, it's necessary. Diashminan, because if it would tell me kol shehu, anything that is the 5 grains, I would thought because it's in its pure state. So undiluted 5 grains is mezainis. But in the mixture, I would say that the other things would become primary. I would say that it's not a mezainis. Kamash Malan kol sheyesh tells me that anything that has an ingredient of the 5 grains is also mezainis. That's the easy one. The other way is the difficult one. If it would only say anything that contains the 5 grains is mezainis, then I would say for sure anything that is undiluted 5 grains is for sure mezainis. Right? That's a problem. Why do I need to say that? If it's already mezainis when in a mixture, for sure it's mezainis pure. Take a look. If it would tell me anything that contains the 5 grains, I would have said anything that contains the 5 grains in. Yes, it's mezainis. But rice and millet, not. I'm translating here ayers as rice because it sounds like rice. Ayers, rice. And Daichen would translate as millet. Rashi says milk, not Rashi. In Taisus it says milk. And I'll explain to you the difficulty later. Sorry? Millet is it's like a grain, a little. We eat it in the house. What is it exactly? I don't know. It's like buckwheat, All food is very food when you're done.
Like oatmeal?
It could look like oatmeal, but it's more like a lot of times it looks like mashed potatoes, but its texture is different. Yeah, it would look like that. So I would say if it says anything that contains, I would have said only something that I would have said only. I would say wheat and the 5 grains that a mixture that contains wheat and 5 grains, that's mezainis. But anything else that contains, but if it contains rice and millet, it's not mezainis. Why? That's because it's a mixture. That's what be medayah. that rice and millet in a mixture is not mezainis, because it only says anything that contains the 5 grains is mezainis. That tells me that if it contains rice and millet, it's not mezainis. But what that would lead me, a diuk on a diuk, would leave me with avalisa beini, but rice and millet alone. I would say that pure rice and pure millet is mezainis. Kamash malan. That's why I have the other statement that kol shehu mechamish saminim, anything that is the 5 grains, hu de mevarchan labarim mezainis. That's going to be mezainis. Pure 5 grains is mezainis. This excludes pure rice and millet. Rice and millet are not mezainis. What we have right here is that rice and millet, pure, are not mezainis. Wait till the... No, but it has the little seeds in it. Okay. The Gemara asks now, and it could be that this bracket makes a difference here. You don't say mezainis on rice and millet. You have a brisa. And if they bring in front of him rice bread or millet bread, you make the same bracha at the beginning and at the end that you would say on a stew. We're talking about a type of stew that has the grains in it, type of porridge stew. And Begabi Maisa Tanya, and it was taught regarding this porridge stew, what's made in a pot. It's taught in a brisa, that you say mezainis before you eat it. And you say alamechi at the end. That means that you say on rice bread, and you say alamechi at the end, because you say the same bracha on rice bread that you would say on a stew that's made out of the grains. Because we have that comparison in the brisa. The Gemara says, no, you have a comparison, but you took it too far. There's a comparison to this porridge. Not exactly. It's similar, but you say a bracha on it at the beginning and at the end. Yes, there is a bracha on rice bread. But it's not similar to a stew. A stew, a porridge. You say on it, and then you say an alamechia. But when it comes to rice bread, millet bread, you say a shahakal on it. And at the end you say a bar nefashis. In my house we have rice pasta, so my kids always get the brachos. They always get it wrong. When they get tested on the brachos. So what brachos pasta? They say shahakal. We say shahakal on rice. We'll discuss it soon. But they say what? Rabbi Smith's kids, they don't know the bracha on pasta. Yeah. Okay. So, what do we have here? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see at the end. When we turn the page today, you'll see what's going on. Right now, where we're holding is that rice bread is shahakal and a bar nefesh is at the end. We compared it to, and that fits with Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel said that only something that is the 5 grains is mezainis, but rice is not. Taisus over here says, interesting. What does bar nefesh mean? Not Taisus translates it. It says bar nefesh Shabbos v'chashaina. It creates many souls, and what they're lacking. What are they lacking? It says bread and water. Al kol ma shabara, or shabarasa, Taisus says, kol ma shabara. Lahachi yispem nefesh kol chai. Everything that he created to give life to all living souls, he says that's everything that we can live without. It was created just for pleasure. For example, apples. That's what he says. If he translates, and then Taisus concludes that you finish Bar Nefashis with Baruch Chei Ha'olamim, and the Yerushalmi says Baruch Ata Hashem Chei Ha'olamim, which is interesting. In the Yerushalmi they would add Baruch Ata Hashem to that. It's a question where to say the Amen on the Bar Nefashis. Baruch Mashiach Shabbos Alachis Mem Nefesh Kol Chai. No, the end of the bracha would be Baruch Elam, and you say the bracha, and you say Amen over there. Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. So could you repeat the essence of bracha again?
Yeah.
Shem
That
Kiyum
God
only,
creates
or should-
People, what they're missing, and what they enjoy, but they don't really need. What they're missing is bread and water. What they enjoy and don't really need is apples. That's the example.
Yeah.
Apples and similar.
That's funny when you put together with Noah Alechem. You make a whole explanation, including the end of the pasuk. Now it all
Uh-huh.
fits together.
The Gemara now says, but although I should say that when the Gemara says tapuchem, Bais says somewhere that it means an esrog.
Yeah,
But that's
what
but
they're
that's
saying.
not.
Now we're back to
Okay. Va'ira is lav ma'isa kederuhu. The Gemara has a question. Rice is not a porridge. You said porridge is mezainas and an alamechi at that. Rice you said is shehakal. It says 1 second. Va'tanya bo we have a brayse Eily and ma'isa kederuhu. The following are considered a porridge, a stew. Chilka. This is a type of grain, a type of wheat that the grain is divided into two parts, and it's split in half. Trugus, this is divided into three. The grain is split into three. So let's take out. Zarid is divided into 4 pieces. The grain, the berry, the wheat berry, and arson is divided into 5. And all of these are considered stews. Vairis and rice. You see that a Maisa Kedera could be made out of rice, and that's Mezainis. That's this one obscure opinion that says that rice is a Maisa Kedera. It's the opinion of Rabbi Yechon ben Nuri. We don't hold like that. The Tanya was starting to rice. Rabbi Yechon ben Nuri, Rabbi Yechon ben Nuri says, "Oiris min daganhu." Rice is a grain. And if you eat it on Pesach, you chayav kares. And you can eat it for matzah. You can have rice matzah. But the Rabbanan disagree with that. They say it's not chametz and it's not matzah. It's just a vegetable.
Why was it Shkenazi?
Well, it's not so obscure. Most of us follow that.
Most of us, no. Rabbi Yechon ben Nuri says that it's chametz.
Right.
We don't hold rice as chametz. We don't need it for whatever reason because of kidney. But this is
Ultimately, we follow his saying.
How can you have this opinion when the Cheskel mentions the 5 grains? Yeah.
you mean on the
Ezekiel
bread?
bread, it says in the Cheskel these are the 5 grains. No, but this is written.
Let's see, I gotta look it
Why
up.
is that even?
You don't pass in halacha from Ezekiel, but
The Rabbanan
But
lie.
it mentions the 5 grains.
Are there the 5 grains?
Yeah.
What's on the?
Huh?
I have to look that up. The Rabbanan lie. The Rabbanan argue about this. But we have a brisa. Look at this. We're gonna have a brisa that's gonna discuss the bracha on rice. It goes like this. If someone chews wheat, that means raw wheat berries. I don't know if it's raw, but it's plain wheat berries, not mixed with anything. You say hadam on the actual berry. Tachna, he ground it. Afa, and he baked it. Ubishla, and he cooked it after it was baked. This is sort of like croutons or something. It's baked and then it's put into the soup. The zmanchi prusis kayama is if the pieces are whole. The tchilim mevarach la maitzi lachem in aretz. You have to say maitzi on it. Well, b'seif mevarach la gimel brachas. You have to bench. Mena prusis kayama if the pieces of bread aren't whole. Tchilim mevarach la barim l'mezayin. So seif mevarach la brachas men gimel. Pieces aren't whole, those croutons in the soup. It's not bread. It's like dissolving. So then you say mezainis on it and you say alamechia. Next case. A case is I just want to point out before we go further that we didn't say what after bracha you say on wheat berries. Case is someone choose rice. Exactly like wheat. You're eating the berries. If you grind it, cook it, and bake it. Even if the pieces are whole. So you have a real piece of rice bread there. What bracha? Rice bread is mezainis.
clean the chair for you.
This is adashin. This is other things. This is beans. This is has five ingredients. So, Mevarach Labarim in the Mazanos, like Brachos Menshalish, and at the end you say Ala Mechia on rice bread. Gemara says Mani. Whose opinion is this? Eily Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. If you say it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said that rice is one of the grains. So, Damar Iris Mindaganu. Hamaitzi lechem in aretz v'shalosh brachos by brucha. Then you should say hamaitzi, and you should have a full benching. Elav Rabbanan, so it must be the Rabbanan. Wow! According to the Rabbanan, you say mezainas on rice bread. Goes against Rav and Shmuel. You only say mezainas on the 5 grains. Tiyufta the Rav and Shmuel. Tiyufta, it's a strong kasha on Rav and Shmuel. Leaves a strong kasha on Rav and Shmuel. If you would finish right here, we would say that rice is mezainas and gets an alamichi at the end. Let's do the next Gemara, but before we do that, let me just let you know what we mentioned, that we didn't say an after bracha for eating wheat berries. We said if you bake it and then you cook it, you put it in, and if it's still whole, then it's shalish bracha. It's a full benching. We didn't say what's the after bracha for wheat berries. What should the after bracha be? Probably alamichia. The problem is,
you said to say hamotzi on it.
You say hamotzi if it's made into bread. It's just the pure berry. It's a grain that we have. It's called farro, not with a ph. Farro. It's a grain, and I don't know. It's like it's a wheat grain. It's called farro. I think F-A-R-O, but it's you make it and it's the pieces stay whole. So the bracha is hadama. What's the after bracha? Places here discusses that. Or for everyone that's just the snacks, granola. You have whole pieces of oats. It's not bread. What bracha is the whole oats? Chayra hadama. That's what we learned here. What's the after bracha on granola? So this long Tosfos here says that an alamichia is going to be a little odd. You said hadama when you start. You say alamichia at the end. That's strange. So Rabbi Menachem wrote in his machzor. He says that you should say not alamichia val kalkala, but you should say al adama val pri hadama. And then val tunu v'sasada you switch that. Now then Rabbi Menachem changed his mind. He says that's a new bracha. We don't find that anywhere. And then at the end, Tosfos says that this is a problem. You should eat it during a meal. Okay, Amar Mar was taught. I left out one important detail, which I'll tell you at the end. Amar Mar, suspense. But right here, where are we holding? That rice is mezainas, rice bread is mezainas, and it's alamichi at the end. Amar Mar, he said that if you chew wheat, eat whole berries, it's bari priyadama. Vatani bari min Israel, but we have a Bais that says a new bracha bari min Israel, the created types of grain, or seeds rather. One says like kasha, that's not a problem. Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda's opinion in the Mishnah was the Tanana was taught in the Mishnah. Al Yirakas and bari priyadama Rabbi Yehuda bari min Deshai. Rabbi Yehuda says that you have to be very specific about your brachas. If you're eating leafy vegetables, you don't say bari priyadama, you say you created leafy vegetables, green leaves. So he would also hold that if you eat wheat berries, you don't say bari min mezainas. You don't say bari priyadama. You say bari min Israel because it's a seed. Because I can plant those berries and grow wheat. Or I can make wheatgrass, right? If I plant it too close together, I'll have grass. Amar Ma. Amar Ma. It was taught. Someone that chews rice, ground it, baked it, and cooked it, like croutons. Even if the pieces are whole, you say at the end you say an alamichia. But I have another brisa that you don't say any bracha afterwards. We're getting a little bit closer to what we know about rice. That what it says, rice would be mezainas, and afterwards you don't say an al mechia. But here it says you don't say anything. Now, v'lei klum, Rashi over here points out that when it says v'lei klum, you don't say anything. It means that you don't say a full after bracha, but you still say burn pashas. That's how it's explained. So what rice would be, according to this, the second brisa, very minimizainus and very nefashis at the end. But the problem is we had a contradiction in the brises. One says that it's a man shalish, which is alamechia. Another one says that it's a burn nefashis. Rav Sheshes like kasher. It's not a problem. Haram Gamliel harabanan. The machlekes between Ram Gamliel and the Rabbanan, and that will resolve the contradiction in the brises. The Tanya was shut in the brises. This is the rule. Anything that's from the 7 species, like for example those dates or those figs. Rabbi Gamliel says you have to say a full benching on it. Say you say Allah eats val priets. Allah eats val peres. We have a story with Rabbi Gamliel and the elders. They're in an attic in Yerichai. What's Yerichai famous for? Dates. And they bring in front of them dates. That's what they're eating in Yerichai. They ate them.
Give him a date.
Rabbi Gamliel Rishus. Rabbi Akiva Levarich. Rabbi Gamliel is the Nasi. He honors Rabbi Akiva to lead the benching. Now, what's the after bracha on dates? You say aleit, well, right? You say the me'en shalish. Rabbi Gamliel holds that you say a full benching. So, kafa tzuvarach Rabbi Akiva brachach men shalish. Rabbi Akiva does the benching that Rabbi Gamliel doesn't hold up. He does a me'en shalish, which is aleit val priets. Amalei Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel tells him, Akiva. Doesn't have the rabbi introduction. Until when are you going to put your head into this argument? Like you're mixing into argument here. Amalei, he says, Rabbeinu, our teacher, even though I know that that's your opinion that you have to say a full benching, and your friends say otherwise. Rabbeinu, our teacher has taught us that you have to follow the majority. And everyone argues with you, so I'm following the majority. So what do we have here? That Rabbi Gamliel holds that anything from the 7 species is a full benching. Tosfos over here has that interesting question that if Rabbi Gamliel, this is a famous Tosfos, I mentioned this, that if Rabbi Gamliel holds that you say a full benching on the 7 species that Israel is blessed with, so if Rabbi Gamliel also holds that you have to bench on a cup of wine, so then you're going to be benching all day and drinking wine all day. Because every time you finish the cup, you have to say a full benching according to Rabbi Gamliel. And I'm sorry? No, actually, no. This is custom to do it with the name, but it seems that not. It seems that it's okay. Anyway, Bais just finally concludes. He says that it would be okay if he doesn't drink the whole cup, and that's how he could stop this vicious cycle. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Mishmait. Rabbi Yehuda says in his name, we should tell this to some friends about it. Rabbi Yehuda says in his name, Kol Shem Yeshivas Aminim, anything from the 7 species, V'lo Min Dagan. This is in the name of Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Yehuda is saying this, but it's not a grain. It could be any of those dates and figs and all of that. Or maybe it is a grain, but you didn't turn it into bread. Rabbi Gamliel says that it gets a full benching. And the Chum say that you say only a alamechia. But if it's not a fruit of the 7 species and it's not a grain, like rice or millet, Rabbi Gamliel says you say an alamechia. The Chum say you don't say anything. Okay. Now, b'mayu kimta. How did we establish the brisa before that says that you say an alamechia on rice bread? It must be Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel says that on rice bread you say an alamechia. The only problem is ema seifa dereisha. Let's look at the beginning, the end part of the first half of that long brisa. That brisa spoke about wheat berries, is hadama. We didn't say that after bracha. Then it spoke about wheat bread, that if you see the pieces, and if the pieces are still intact after they're cooked, like the croutons, so then it's a mitzi and a full benching. But if you don't see them, then it's mezainas and an alamechia. Yes, a mistake for duration. Mina prusis kayama is if the pieces are not intact. At the end, you say an alamechia mani. Who could that be? Iram Gamliel. If you want to say that Bais says Rabbi Gamliel, hashtag kisavis v'adaisa. When it comes to a date, when it comes to porridge, Amram Gamliel Gimel Brachos. Gamliel says that you have to say a full benching. Mena prusis kayamis mibai. If I have actual bread that's dissolving, I'm not going to have to say a full benching. I have to say a full benching on a date, according to Rabbi Gamliel. If I don't have to say a full benching on, he holds that anything from the 7 species is a full benching. So if I had bread that dissolved into the soup, which is, he says it's mezainas. Well, the Bais said mezainas. It should really be a full benching at the end. It must be that Bais is the Rabbanan. If that Bais is the Rabbanan, then why does it say on rice bread that if the pieces are intact, it's mezainas? Then we have a contradiction. If it's Rabbanan, kasha the Rabbanan, the Rabbanan. The Gemara says Elaylam Rabbanan. No, the Rabbanan. It's me Gabi Aryas will be safe in Bavarch like we have to amend the Brisa. The rice bread starts up as a mezainas. If it's intact, and at the end you say burn the fashes. Hence, that's where everyone has their opinion. That's what bracha is rice, mezainas, and afterwards a burn the fashes. Now this is the part that I left out. If you look at Taisvus on the page before, Rashi says that oirez is nil. Oirez, that I've been translating as rice, is millet. And v'yesh mefarshim rice. Some say that it's rice. L'hai pirish, but according to that interpretation, yesh lefarsh t'daychan hainu mil. If so, there's a machlekes here what oirez is. So there's one thing that's clear. Oirez is mezainas and a bar nefashos. But when I have rice on my plate, or rice cake, is that oirez or is that daychan? Daychan is hadama. And rice is mezainas. She can't say rice. And oirez is mezainas. So therefore, because we don't know which one is which,
our rice is.
It's an old machlekes all the way back into Taisvus.
Wow.
That's why
That's where we
come and we say that, well, if you make a mezainas and a hadama, then you'd be okay. Or if you're eating in a meal, you'd be okay. But because you don't do that, you say shahakal.
So on sushi,
Say
what's
what?
the papa?
Oh.
I know it's not a lakashir, but what
For us,
bracha do we
in
say?
Chabad, it's not a problem. Because if it's rice, so rice we say shahakalan because of the suffix. And if it's fish, if the fish is the main thing, it's shahakal. If it's rice, then the rice is shahakal.
What
The
about
problem, the whole
bracha?
shaila of sushi is if you say mezainas on rice, what's the main thing? It's not one of the grains that the rice shouldn't be bottled. The rice could be bottled. If it would be wheat berries around, then it would be mezainas for sure. And if the inside is avocado and the main thing is the inside. I
So
know,
we
it's a
say-
shaila.
we
The
say
reason why it's a
chocolate
shaila is because it probably depends on the person. When you have these chocolate-covered almonds, what's the bracha on that? Is it the chocolates or is it the probably depends what store you buy it in. If you buy it in a nut store, then it's. If you buy it in a chocolate store, then.
Wait, so what's
I don't
the
know.
kind of bracha we say on sushi? Shahako and
In Chabad, it's shahak. There's no shaila. It's shahak.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a Rava.
Just give you some bread that you saw.
I'm a Rava. Rava says, let me go further. I want to finish. Hi Riyata, the Chaklai. When it comes to this porridge that we said before, that has a mixture of honey and the grain, it's a mixture of flour and honey. So if it's made by farmers, the mafshi bekimcha, they put in a lot of flour. You say mezainas. My timer, the flour is the main thing. The mechuzah, but if it's made in mechuzah in the city, mechuzah is the name of the city. They don't put in a lot of flour. On that you say shakel. My time a dub shekel because the honey is the main thing. But then Rabbi changed his mind. He said, you always say Mezainas. The Rabbi Shmuel Damar Tarvayo, because Rabbi Shmuel both said, anything that has 5 grains is Mezainas as an ingredient. Even if it's not the main thing, it automatically becomes the main thing. You say Chamesh Samin, it doesn't like battery. The 5 grains don't become nullified. Amar Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, Hai Chavitza, this way Perurin. Chavitza is the stew, a soup sort of, that has pirurin, it has crumbs of a kazayas, breadcrumbs the size of a kazayas. You have to say hamaitzi and you have to say a full benching on it. The less paper in kazayas, if it doesn't have the pieces are kazayas, beginning you say on it mezainas. It's just a alamech. Sort of contradicts what we said before, that when you have a bread that's cooked, we said before that if it's falling apart, then it's a mezainas. But if it's intact, then it's a maitzah. Right? That's what we said. If it's prusis kayamas, if the pieces are intact. So Taisva says, well, maybe you can say that falling apart means that it's less than a kazayas, and intact means a kazayas, and that will fit. Okay. Amar Rav Yosef, Mina Aminullah. How do I know this? That it's mezainas. If it's less than a kazayas, and if it's a kazayas, it's a maitzah. How do I know that? The Tanya, we have a brayso. He's standing and he's bringing carbon mincha, a flour offering in Jerusalem. Says the Shechianu. Yeah, says the Shechianu. Who says the Shechianu? So Rashi says the owner. Taisa says what? The owner is Aymed Makar Menachem. Kayan. Why is the Kayan saying the Shechianu? Just because he doesn't get a chance to do it only twice a year, because they have this rotation of which families serve in the Bais English. So when it becomes his turn, twice a year, he says the Shechianu on his first time. Not Lanlachlan, if he takes it to eat it, Mevarach Hamaytzu Lechem Menaretz. Says Hamaytzu. Well, how big are those pieces? The Tani Allah, V'kulam Paisim Kazayas. Said that those pieces are Kazayas. You see? If it's a Kazayas, you say Hamaytzu. Taisus is bothered. You didn't cook it. Our whole discussion was if you cook the bread, it becomes a kazayas. He says, well, you're frying, the menachas are fried. Okay. Amalei Abaya says, Alamayata, if that's the case. So Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, in the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel, they said the following. That with the menachas, you would have to do kamitza. So what you would do is you would break it into flour. You would crumble it back into flour after it's baked or fried or whatever. Crumbled it into flour. And then you would do kamitza on it then, as flour. According to Rabbi Shmuel, well, according to the way Rabbi Yosef says, only if it's a kazayas, the pieces are the crumbs are a kazayas, then you say hamaitzi. Pieces are smaller than that, then it's a mezainas. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, that says that's how you have to do a mincha. You have to break it into small, tiny pieces, into flour. So you don't say hamaitzi on the carbon mincha. Maybe you'll say that. Yeah, okay. According to him, you say mezainas. What bracha is a carbon mincha? Well, we'd say according to Rabbi Shmuel mezainas. V'hatanya, we have a brayso lakat mikulam kazayas. If you collect from all the pieces and you put it together, it's a kazayas. It must be it's going according to Rabbi Shmuel, because you're collecting it in order to get a kazayas. Not like the other opinion that says that you only break it into a kazayas. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you collect from all them into kazayas when you ate it. Im chametz or anish. If it's chametz and it's on Pesach, then it's kares. The matzahu, and if it's matzah, the mitzvah dechavas Pesach, you yaitze eating matzah on Pesach. You make a mezainas on matzah on Pesach. Matzah on Pesach is bread. It has to be lechem. You have to say hamaitzi on it. So it must be that even though it's smaller than a kazayas, it's hamaitzi. My answer is when do we say that you're yaitze? Matzah, that's only if you pushed it back together. You took all those crumbs and you pushed it back together into a dough, into a, right, like a matzah ball or a matzah. If that's the case, it says, that's only if you ate them with the plural in the amount of time that it takes to eat half a loaf of bread. You have to eat it the right amount of time. But if you made it back into a dough, you said that you ate them. You ate it. It's not them. If it's crumbs, then you ate them. But if it's turned back into a matzo ball, then it's you ate it.
These crumbs are coming from where? After the bread?
Yeah, and it was crumbs.
So it was, and it's on Pesach?
Yeah.
So in English it says here, a case where one formed the pieces into a dough and baked them.
From the
Producing
broken
a new
pieces.
one.
And then the
The
broken
broken
pieces
pieces
in
that
the
had been
dough.
baked once already.
Right.
So how can you go back after the 18 minutes and rebake?
Let's say it's chametz.
But it's Pesach.
Okay, so it's matzah.
I thought you can't go beyond the 18 minutes.
Oh, okay, those are rabbinic.
I know it's another halakha.
Okay. Hachab Mayaskinan. What are we dealing with? No, this is like the Brachos, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
This is
okay.
like this is also a later
No
later thing. Hachab Mayaskinan. What are we dealing with? The Babi Lechem Gadol. It's coming from a large loaf of bread. And what we're going to say is like this: if I have a large loaf of bread sitting on the table, and I have some crumbs that were in the soup or whatever, and they came off that loaf of bread, because that loaf of bread is still sitting there, and I can't say that those crumbs are now not chametz. Very interesting. I never heard about this. That if the original loaf is there, then it has an effect on the crumbs that are already removed from it. My Havi Allah, what's the end over here? Amar Rav Sheshes says, he argues on Rav Yosef, says, Hai Chavitza, this soup that has the bread in it, even if the pieces aren't the kazayas, it's still hamaitzi. Amar Rava, but Rava comes in and says, Budik Allah Teresa Denam, it still has to look like bread. Places over here says that if you soak it in the water, it turns white, then it loses its form of bread, and it would not be hamaitzi. Taisha says in Rabbeinu David of Mitz, he used to take breadcrumbs, and put it in water overnight, that he could eat it in the morning and not say hamaitzi, that he should have energy to be able to say his halachas. That's what Taisha says.
Wow.
Would give a shear. Okay. No. Truknin, we don't know what it is yet, but chayav and b'chala. It's chayav and chala. B'chiyasa Rav and Rabbi Yechanan Truknin, the Grav here changes it to chayav and b'chala. It's also chayav and chala. Ours says Menachem. My Truknin, what is Truknin? Rabbi Kuvadar. It's a loose dough that's cooked, that's baked in the ground, sort of like in a. It's but it's contained so that it could come out as a form of bread. It's not a pancake. Right. The reason why it's not a pancake, it's like a cupcake. That's what it is. It has this. It's contained so it will come out looking like a loaf. Amar Abaya. Abaya says. So what are we saying? It's chayav and chala. It means this dough you have to take challah off. Do we take challah off sponge cake? Amar Abaya. Abaya says, Teresa p'turim min challah. Teresa is patur from challah. What's Teresa? Don't think about any names over there. My Teresa. What is Teresa? Not Teresa. My Teresa. Ikadamri gavel miratach. This is a pancake. Some say it's a hot pan that you pour the batter on it, and it right away bakes. Ikadamri nama dihindika. Some say that it's bread that's on a spit. What they would do is they would have bread on the spit and they would dip it into oil, and then they would put it back into the fire and dip it in oil and put it back. Ikadamri lechem asi lekutach, and some say that it's bread that's made for a kutach dip. That was a milk dip, sour milk, that the bread was not actually baked. They would leave it in the sun. It would just dry out, dehydrate, and then they would crumble it and put it into the kutach. And Abai is saying that all of these are exempt from challah, whichever one it is. Tana debate, you don't have to take the challah off to give to the kain. Tana Rabchia taught lechem asel lekutach patim min challah. Okay. Tanya chayav b'challah, but we have another Bais that says chayav and challah for this hasam kedetani time over there. It was explained. Rabbi Daimer Maisam echichan aleh. The way you made it, it tells you if it's chayav or pater. Why? A concave, and if you made it like a loaf or like a roll, so then chayavin. You're planning on eating it like that. You're not planning on putting it into that salad dressing, like kutach dressing. Kilimudim, but if you made it just like a board without any shape, Turim, it's exempt. Amalei Abayler of Yosef. Hi Kuva Da'ara. What bracha do you make on that cupcake sort of thing that was made in the ground in the oven? Amalei Misabris Namahu. What, you think it's a bread? Guvla Balmo, it's just a dough. Mavarcham La Barim in a Mezainis. And you make it on it Mezainis. Marzutra covers Sudase Alavei. Baruch La Maitzlachem Manar. Marzutra, although it was just a dough, it was just like a cupcake. But if you establish a meal on it, you say Hamaitzi even when things are Mezainis. If you establish a meal on Mezainis things, it becomes Hamaitzi. B'shalish brachos, and you would say a full benching. Amar Mar Baravashi, Vadim Yotzi B'dem Dechavas for Pesach. He says that you yotze on Pesach matzah with this, even though it's made like a cupcake. My time a lechem aini karinam day. It's called lechem aini. Amar Mar Baravashi. I dubsha the tamri. Okay, let's stop by Amar Mar Baravashi.
At least we got to the cave. We got to it. Yeah, it's like holding my breath there.
Are we up to today?
Yeah, just started.
So we're one day.